Welcome to the David Goad Show. It's the show about speaking and communication. And today I'm talking to you sales professionals out there. That's right. We're going to talk about having productive conversations. I invited an expert on the show to help me in this conversation. His name's Stephen Richardson, and he is a sales professional, leader, coach, consultant. What else, Stephen? What am I missing?
Happily married 35 plus years.
Oh, and happily married 35 plus years. Fantastic. Well, you must know something about communication then. You're an expert. All right, let's jump into it, man. We were talking about what salespeople don't do when they get to the end of a great meeting and they don't get the next action they were hoping for. So you were telling me a little story about someone you were coaching. Can you repeat that for us?
Yeah, I'm very fortunate to have a lot of opportunities to coach and mentor and train sales professionals out there, whether they work for companies or individuals or entrepreneurs, that type of thing. And I definitely see a consistency in what's been missing on so many people. And it's, they don't ask enough questions. We sit down, if I could give a perfect example, a couple of days ago, I was having a conversation with a young lady who was not happy with the way a conversation ended up, even though she was very excited because she was all prepared to go into the conversation. She knew all about the product, all about the service. She even knew a little bit about what was going on with the situation with that person's company. And at the end of the day, it didn't end where she wanted it to end. And during my debrief, I realized that she really didn't ask enough questions. She said a lot of great things, but she didn't ask enough questions.
Hey, I'm there, man. I'm one of those talkers. I just love hearing myself talk. And if I'm on a roll with the perfect demo and they're pelting questions at me, I'm thinking I'm doing great. But then by the end of the meeting, like, hey, we got 2 minutes left and I haven't asked them anything. That's what you're talking about, right?
Absolutely. And don't forget, the person who's asking the questions is in control of the conversation, not the other way, not the one who's talking. It's the one who's asking the questions.
Okay, well, let's get into some specifics now. I always like to give some practical advice to people watching the show. So tell me, what are some of the key questions people miss that they should be asking every single engagement?
Well, let's start out with the basic mindset going into any interaction, especially on a sales call. And that is, by the nature of who you are and how you do your business and how you communicate, the person who you're talking with will basically answer any question you ask them. True or false?
Yeah, if you ask it the right way.
If you ask it the right way, and I'm going to guess that people are asking the question the right way. So by the nature of that, that means the question that you should be asking yourself is, what information could I gain from this person that would help me help them? So for example, a question that I often ask, probably just about every single time in any different way, and I challenge other people to ask, and that is, why are we here? You're obviously a very busy professional. You already have a lot of things going on. I'm sure there are a line of people behind me who want to have a conversation and want a few minutes of your time. Why did you choose to sit down with me just for a few minutes? That type of question sets the stage for why they're there in the first place. Sometimes people are doing that just because they want to get them off their calendar. This person's been hounding them the whole time. If that's the case, that's okay. I want to know why we're sitting there. And that transitions into another question. They don't necessarily have to go back to back to back. But the question is, if you were actually able to achieve, let's just say, ultimate success for this project, for this goal that you're looking to achieve, what is ultimate success? Not even what you think is necessarily possible in the short term, but if you could achieve ultimate success, what would that success be? Because what you're doing is you're having them paint a picture and you're helping them actually expand that picture of what's possible. And you can only get that from the questions that you ask.
Sounds like
Final questions you asked, since you asked me for three, I apologize. Since you asked me for three, the third one is, what is your, let me see how I'm going to put this. Decision criteria. Would it be helpful to know how the person is going to make their decision on whether or not they're going to allow you to help them, or maybe they're going to either do it all in-house or maybe choose somebody else? Would it be helpful to know how they're going to make a decision? Of course, the answer is yes. So why not ask them? Mr. Customer, by the way, when all this is said and done, and you've done all your due diligence and all your research, you've met with whoever you're going to meet with, how are you ultimately going to decide? And when you ask that question first, Now you know what to pick and choose and what to talk about during your quote unquote presentation and even later on in the conversation. So those are just 3 questions that you should really consider asking every single time.
Yeah, and a couple of those are information-oriented questions, like getting them to dream and telling you what success looks like. But
Right.
that decision, that's a process question. It's like, so who else is going to be involved in this and what has to happen in timeframes? So that's good. You have a mix of those two. There's something else that you do, Stephen, that's a secret ninja trick. I'm just going to call it out. I'm going to expose you now. Is you don't always just ask the question. You ask permission to ask the question. It's like, if this, would it be helpful if this? Would it be useful if, right? Tell me about that. How does that work?
Well, it's really just the way that I was trained. And I was asked that you are not allowed to present a solution until you gain the customer's permission first. And you can do that several ways. A lot of it, once again, is by painting the picture on what they're looking to achieve, but also just by asking them. If a lot of times when I, let's just say, want to give unsolicited advice, but I always want to get their permission first. So would it be okay if I gave you a recommendation on something you could consider to do or not do in the future? I will always default to asking permission, even if I can. I guess you're kind of tricking them into answering yes, but you're still gaining their permission. Some people say, no, I'm good. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for enabling us to not waste each other's time. So I will ask them permission to ask questions or to make recommendations almost every single time.
Yeah, but how can I say no to that? I would feel like a jerk if I said no to that. I don't want to feel like a jerk. All right, Steve,
Absolutely.
let's net it out. Some great stuff here. We don't have a lot of time left, but if you had to net it out in, say, 30 seconds or so, what's the number one bit of advice you would pass on to those sellers out there who want to have more productive conversations?
Well, I'll say it one more time, and it's really your mindset going into the conversation. Conversation, not pitch. I never use that word with regards to what I'm doing or the people who I'm working with. It's not about pitching. It's about having a productive conversation with another human being, having them explain to you what they were looking to achieve, and you sharing with them enough information so they can make an educated decision on whether or not they should allow you to help them or not. That's all. So with that, really understanding going into every single conversation, they will answer any question that you ask them. What do you want to know? What information would help you be in a better position to help them? And plan it. Write the questions down, practice it, and really see those conversations become so much more productive.
Well, I'll tell you why we are here right now. Because you're sharing fantastic stuff with my audience, and I appreciate it. Stephen, thanks so much for being on the show. We'll do another deeper dive. I have to have you back because there's so much good stuff to go through. But I'll put some information down below on how people can learn more about you and your business. And thanks again for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, David. Appreciate
and thanks
you.
to all of you, sales folks out there watching the David Goad Show. Now go have more productive conversations. Have a good day.